Nothing lasts forever. Build it anyway. Hi, I'm Anne Margaret with this week's Sacred Sunday message to raise the vibration of your body, mind, and spirit. In today's talk, we will examine the trap of using the reality of impermanence to talk us out of pursuing our heart's desires. And then I'll give you some tips how to strengthen this muscle of creation and fearless pursuit of those desires. And then lastly, we'll pull two intuition cards to access the subconscious or unconscious wisdom. So let's get started. So there is a beautiful, beautiful quote and by Mother Teresa that constantly inspires me, especially in the last year and a half. And that quote I'll go into in just a little bit, but she is famous for saying, when you spend years building something, if you spent years building something, someone could destroy it overnight. Build it anyway. And it is in these times that so many of us are facing job loss. Even so many people are coming to me for couples counseling right now because they're really struggling in their marriages and needing a deeper commitment or a deeper intimacy because they're spending so much time together. And their health might be declining, mental health declining, because we're facing some very challenging circumstances right now, obviously. So when we get trapped in this notion of security, we want everything to look perfectly. We want our job to be secure. We want our relationship to be blossoming continuously. We want our health to be at the best it can be. We want everything to look really wonderfully. But one thing that life guarantees is that things change, that we have impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. So many times we can fall into the trap of not going after what it is that we want to do because we're afraid that it'll fail or that it will someday end, like a relationship. So if we can focus on rather the not trying to get everything secure, but and control everything, all the unfolding of our lives, but we can joyfully co-create with this unknown, then we can truly honor what a gift it is to be alive and to create with this divine energy of the unknown. So let's talk about some tips, because one of the things that saves me, I think, every single week is just remembering on a daily basis that life is a gift and time is limited. So, if we have a limited amount of time to manifest our purpose here on earth and to experience what it is we want to experience, that puts a little fire underneath of us to get motivated, to get moving, regardless of what may or may not happen. We can get so stopped by the what ifs of life that we never actually dive into the pool and enjoy and savor this precious gift of being alive. So, the second thing is, don't ignore those nudges. I know you know what I mean. When you feel this kind of tapping on your shoulder, like, oh, I would love to do this, and you got this energy, or you got this energy behind you of people talking about something similar that you want to do, and then you start seeing it everywhere, and it's something that you really want, and you know it's what you really want, but you keep brushing those nudges off of your shoulders. That was me, a little over 11 years ago. This is a very special weekend for me and Anthony, because 11 years ago, we finally found a permanent home or semi-permanent home for the Giving Tree Yoga Studio in New York. On May 30th, 2009, we opened the doors of the Giving Tree, a dedicated space. After 8 years of my renting dance studios and spa places to teach yoga, we finally opened our own doors of a dedicated yoga studio. And that was yesterday, 11 years ago. And I remember getting those nudges and pursuing that over years and it not working out and almost giving up faith right before we found that space and opened our doors. And today is a rather bittersweet day because that community is closing its doors in New York for good now. So, if I would have been driven by the safety security conversation at that time, we would have never opened the doors because Those of you who own small businesses, especially brick and mortar ones, know that most don't even get through the first, I think it's half fail in the first 6 months. And then 97% or something outrageous fail in their first 10 years. And that doesn't even mean they're making money. So the challenge of running a business, if you want to do this, you've got to have your passion behind you. You've got to have trust that guiding force of your intuition and the signs you're getting. So we took a risk and we jumped and we made that huge leap. And it was just the most fulfilling and affirming steps I think we almost have ever taken, aside from getting married to each other, Anthony and I. And after that first weekend 11 years ago, I remember turning to Anthony and saying, because I had this going on for like, gosh, I think 7 years prior to that. And so finally I had that tapping off. I had opened the yoga studio with Anthony and felt like I had fulfilled one of the purposes I was here in this world to manifest. And I turned to Anthony and I said, you know what? If we end up closing next weekend, I feel at peace because we did it. We listened to that heart-centered guiding intuition and we did it. And that was so crucial. And, as we went on for the next 10 years, I grew more attached. So it was harder to let go, of course. But those nudges, if you have those nudges going on in your life, you've got to listen to them. Stop sabotaging with any fear or what ifs. There's going to be changes. COVID is going to happen, right? These things that are unexpected in our lives are going to happen. But we shouldn't stop before we begin. Really, that's what those what ifs do, right? And then I think about my relationship with Anthony. Those of you who might have this budding relationship happening, but you're too scared, or in the past you've sabotaged it because of what might happen. It might end. Okay, yes, that is true, but things do come to an end, and we know the divorce rate is even over 50% right now. Does that keep us from actually diving into the pool of life and experiencing what our hearts are really saying that we want to experience? Okay, so it is so critical to remember that we can't avoid pitfalls in life. We can only teach resilience to our souls so that we can pick ourselves back up when things aren't going our way. So the trap, what if I fail? What if it ends? All of those fears will be there. You're not going to be fearless going into an experience. You're going to have those fears in the back. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of fear, but doing it anyway. So don't let those fears stop you before you even begin. And the last thing is the joy of creation. If we surrender our attachments to the outcomes, we can enjoy the journey and let go of the destination. So many people only make it to the base camp of Everest. They don't go all the way up to the top, but they celebrate the journey of even attempting something like that in their life. The joy of creation and seeing and listening to those nudges, listening to that guiding force, giving your heart the opportunity to have an experience of true love of not only with maybe a romantic partner, but true loving of yourself, of pursuing what it is that your heart desires to create, your soul wants to purpose in this life. So let's look at this Mother Teresa quote a little closer, because this changed my life. When I made this one of my main quotes and my main prayers that I go to, it changed my life. And this was actually written on Mother Teresa's home on the wall, and she wrote it on the home for the children of Calcutta, but it was actually inspired by Dr. Kent Keith's not prayer, I mean, I guess it could be a prayer, but he calls it a paradoxical commandments. So the paradoxical commandments were written in 1968, and Mother Teresa made them famous, writing them on her wall. And this is her interpretation of those commandments. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends, and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Mother Teresa knew that really well with taking on the hunger in Calcutta. And she said, give your best anyway, even if you know it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. And in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. This teaching is so profound because if we can remember that it's not about other people's projections onto you. It's not about other people's opinions, that you actually don't even respect those people because they don't have the same moral compass that you do. They don't have the same priorities or values that you do. And yet we give so much energy out there to the what ifs, to the fears, to what will people think about me? What if I fail and how will I look? When we get in this trap, you guys, this keeps us from living out our divine purpose, why we are here. It keeps us from experiencing the joy and the beauty of this gift of life that we have all been given. So remember that. You can look it up. I've included some quotes, some links in the bottom to the actual Paradoxical Commandments by Dr. Keith. So you can look that up. I've also included a couple essential oils that help me with this. One's Motivate. When I feel like I'm not feeling very committed, I'll put that on. Or Passion is one of my favorite things I keep in my purse all the time to keep me connected to what it is I really love and what I'm committed to in this life. And the other thing is that I also do one-on-one coaching. I do couples coaching. We have online classes and even an online women's circle. So check out the links I've included in the notes below. And one more thing we have to do is pick a couple cards. So let's go ahead and grab these intuition cards. And we'll pick out some that connect with our unconscious relationship to this and our message today. Artemis, Guardian. You and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. So remember that when we're following our purpose, when we're giving our lives to opening our hearts to others, we do have that divine protection. That's the guiding force that we must listen to rather than negate with our own fears or what ifs. So that's a very good card to get, remembering that it's going to work out, and even if it fails, and even if you're in the midst of things really changing and everything coming down around you, keep creating, right? Be kind, succeed, be honest, create, be happy, do good. These are expressions of your soul, and they are essential for you to be at peace with who you are and how you're operating in the world. Beautiful. This vampire. Vampire is such a great archetype. The light attribute of the vampire archetype makes you aware that someone or something is draining your life force. These fears, these what ifs, are draining your life force, your precious gift of your energy and your power to create. So pay attention to them. The shadow attributes, depleting others for your psychic survival, chronic complaining and codependency. We can do this to others, can't we? Oh, that'll never happen. Why are you even doing that? Because we're projecting our fears onto them. So chronic complaining, this vampire archetype gives us the opportunity to wake up and say, I'm chronically complaining. Listen to what's coming out of my mouth. This is what I'm creating. So it gives us that awareness. Beautiful cards for today. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Remember that whatever you're going through right now, it's a tough time, but life guarantees us tough times. So hang in there. Please feel free to share this with anybody that you think could benefit from raising their own vibration through this video. And until next time I see you, go out, create, regardless of what happens in the future, and keep raising the vibration. Bye, everybody.